Scott, my friend, welcome to the show.
Hey Jess, great to be here, and it's been quite a while, and looking forward to talk about anything and everything.
I know we were just chatting offline before we hit record about how the last time, I feel terrible, but the last time we really connected was March of 2020. You came to speak virtually into our mastermind that we were hosting, and you gifted everybody, if you're on YouTube, you can see what I'm holding up. You gifted everybody your LinkedIn book, which was so nice. I've read this book multiple times. And Scott, guess who joined LinkedIn?
You did.
I
That's
posted
actually
twice in the
that's
last
actually
week.
not my newest one.
I
Actually
know.
came out. It's actually right behind my head here.
So good.
That's the LinkedIn book for sales and marketing. That came out in 2022, and I have a new one coming out in August of this year. It's the third edition of the original book in
Ooh.
August. Yeah, so every 2 years I'm going to be re-releasing the book, adding new chapters, editing it, basically expanding on it. So that's coming out later this year.
Oh, I'm stoked. Are you gonna have a launch party for it?
Yeah, always. Yeah, that's
Awesome.
that's on the launch docket. So everything in August will be all about the new book that's coming out.
Okay. So bring us back for a second how you became this internationally acclaimed, award-winning online marketing LinkedIn guru. How does one become a LinkedIn guru?
Oh man. The word guru, I just feel like it's just um not self-appointed as a guru. People like, say, oh, he's a LinkedIn expert, he's a
Yeah.
LinkedIn guru. And all it was is, I think it goes back to my roots of being in the wellness industry, which you and I were both a part of. And, learning very early on, at 19 years old, from my dad, who mentored me, as I came into the fitness industry, about, building relationships, solving problems for people, because every person that walked into the gym was looking to solve a problem, whether
Yep.
it was to lose weight, gain weight, this, that, or the other. So I think foundationally, I built that relationship marketing muscle in person, because this was in the mid to late 90s at this point. And I didn't really get into the online marketing world until 2013. And I was,
Which still makes you like a grandpa in this industry. Just,
yeah,
you and I
yeah,
both, we're like
yeah.
grandparents here.
We're the elder statesmen of online marketing. And for me, yeah, I was using all the things. I was on Facebook and I was on Instagram. But for me, I was looking to move away from the back-to-back-to-back in-person sessions where I was making very little money doing that. I was working harder, not smarter, and I was looking to reverse that.
Yeah.
So I was looking to do more online coaching and consulting, fitness routines, wellness programs. And I started to think about, where can I go to find my ideal client avatar? And when I took a look at my in-person avatar, it was all corporate business people. So people would come to the gym before work, they would come to the gym on their lunch break, and they would come to the gym after work to see me. So I said, if these people are willing to do that in person in my local area, let's expand that reach online. And
Yeah.
that's when I decided to use LinkedIn. Coincidentally, Microsoft had just bought out LinkedIn. So they made it more of not just get a job and get recruited. They made it a social networking platform for business professionals. So I got on there, changed my profile around, and really started networking and connecting with people that I feel could benefit from some of the services that I was offering, whether it was online nutritional programs, nutritional supplements, or even just online workouts. And very quickly, it grew very, very fast. I was
When was
able.
this? How long ago?
This was the end of 2013, going
Wow.
into Q1 and Q2 of 2014. So it was over an eight
Wow.
month period. So by August of 2014, I had almost replaced all of my in-person training with the online. And a year and a half later, I ended up closing the gym in 2016. But obviously, there were some steps into doing that. But as I was getting these traction results, some people very close to me that were also in the online wellness world started to take notice of my presence on LinkedIn. And a few people reached out and they said, can you teach me what you're doing? And I had shown a couple of friends what I was doing. Nothing was really formalized at this point. I just gave basically tangible tips and this, that, or the other. And one person in particular texted me 2 weeks after I had spoken to him, and the text just said, "Dude, call me." So I called him and I said, "What's up?" And he goes, "Listen," he goes, "I don't know what you figured out with LinkedIn, but it works because I have 14 appointments booked on my calendar this week. He goes, you should be
Wow.
teaching this. I said, what do you mean I should be teaching this? He said, it's just like anything else. He goes, it's just like teaching people nutritional programs and workout routines, but now you're going to be doing more business consulting and coaching. Other people could really benefit from what you're doing. So I spoke to my business attorney, and he suggested that I really register my system, copyright it, trademark it. So I did get a patent on the flow and the system of the intellectual property of what I was teaching. And I went on this is, God, I really feel like sometimes I age myself. Uh, so I went on a podcast in 2014 that was done through conferencecalling.com. And I know
Wow.
there's so many people that probably have no clue what that is, but I know you do because
Yeah, network marketing.
that's when you would dial in to
Yep.
like the eight you I don't even know how we remembered all those numbers to type in the pin codes, but you did.
Oh my
So
gosh,
it was
yeah.
my first business coach, and he had me to come on as a guest because obviously he wanted me to share my expertise with his network. And I just went over some of the tangible things that I was doing and the statistics and why I fell in love with LinkedIn. And this is kind of like where it all started. When I got off of that podcast, I went onto LinkedIn just to check some notifications, and I had 8 inboxes of people that wanted to hire me. And
Wow.
I had no website, I had no way to take payment, but I had to kind of work on the fly. And at that point, people were willing to pay for my time to have me teach them how to use LinkedIn. And that was kind of the jumping off point and the catalyst for everything that we're doing now. And since then, my wife and I have 3 companies together now, and it's not just LinkedIn, but we do have a solidified core function and focus on LinkedIn that expands out into everything else that we're teaching.
Yeah.
And again, I think where the guru and expert comes in, I would say in 2 ways. Number one, repetition.
Yep.
As to become an expert or to be seen as a guru, you got to get your reps in. You can get any certification you want, you can take any test that you want, but it's that 10,000 hour or 10-year habit that you need to practice what you preach. And I would say where the guru portion comes in is when you actually get results for people.
Mm.
So that's everything in itself. Everything that we do, whether it's myself or Nancy and her company or the ones that we have together, it's to solve people's problems and to get them results. And when I have a client, reach back out to me and say that they just closed a $50,000 contract based on what I taught them on LinkedIn, or most recently, one of our clients was featured in Golf Digest, based on a LinkedIn article that they wrote, which is the #1 golf publication in the world. It just lets me know that the proof is in the pudding. And
Yeah.
I don't need to tell people that I know what I'm doing. They can now hear it from the results of other people to back that statement up.
So good. All right, let's stay with LinkedIn for a second here because, I made the comment that I finally joined LinkedIn. For me, I think it's so interesting when you were working as a trainer, you went on LinkedIn, but you did for such a smart reason for marketing because that's where your ideal client was hanging out. For me, I never had like a corporate 9 to 5. I was a personal trainer and I was a phys ed teacher. And when you're in education, you don't really use LinkedIn, maybe nowadays, but 15 years ago, that wasn't the platform that we needed. That's not where we went to get hired. So I just kind of had always poo-pooed it. I never used it in the corporate world. And now in the marketing world, we have seen in the past couple of years more and more and more like get on LinkedIn, get on LinkedIn. And as a coach, as an entrepreneur, as a content creator, I know for anyone listening, oh my God, Jess, are you serious? Scott, do I really have to get on another platform? Like it's so overwhelming already with Instagram and Facebook and TikTok and Twitter and Clubhouse and whatever threads. And it's like, oh yeah, I can't be on all of them. So do I really need to be on LinkedIn? And we finally did make the jump and finally got on, and I'm starting to play around. And for me, it is a completely different language than what I'm used to because I really am like the Instagram girl. So for me, I'm just like, oh yeah, I have to learn this new platform. What would you say are some of the most similar features to Instagram or Facebook? And then what are some of the really unique, special features that LinkedIn has?
So I would say similarly to all the platforms, it's a content creation machine. So Amy Porterfield has talked about this. Gary Vee's talked about this. A lot of the top marketers have said that the best place to build your personal and business brand is LinkedIn. You do get exposure through Instagram and Facebook, to expand your brand. But, if your ideal target market client is a business professional or someone in the business world or a decision maker, you're going to want to spend time on that platform. So, just like the other platforms, video content, written content, articles and such, it's to create a visibility to what you're doing.
Right.
And again, just like storytelling on Facebook and Instagram, you're doing storytelling from a business branding and I would say a visibility factor with what you're putting out there on LinkedIn. So I would say that's where they really are similar. I keep my content in a straight linear way.
What do you mean by that?
Yeah, whatever I'm posting about on LinkedIn, I'm posting that content on Instagram. I'm
Are you
posting
like
that.
actually repurposing it, or are you changing the format so that it reads best on each platform?
So just to give you an example, there's and I'm sure you've heard of it. Have you heard of Opus.pro?
No.
Oh my God. So I want everyone to sign up for this
Okay, I'm going
incredible.
to it right now.
So it's Opus.pro. There's a free version or there's a $19 a month version. So basically what it is it is it's an AI tool where you can take a pre-recorded MP4 file, much like a video that you and I are recording right now. You can drop it into Opus. It processes it. And then what you can do is you can tell it specific keywords to pull out from the conversation. So, you would type in, LinkedIn, comma, branding, comma, online. And it would basically comb through it and it would spit out 12 to 15 mini viral video clips.
Wow.
And they caption it. It has subtitles, everything. You can put your own color, your own branding. And if you pay for the $19 a month version, which I highly recommend.
Are you an affiliate?
What's that?
Are you an affiliate?
They're about to launch the affiliate program.
I
So
would have put your link in the show notes.
by the time this comes out, hopefully I do. So I'll get that to your audience. But the cool thing is that they have a pre-scheduling tool built into it. So with a click of a button, you can schedule it out and you can post it as a YouTube short, an Instagram reel, right to your TikTok feed, not your inbox like some of the other ones, right to your TikTok and right to your Instagram reels as well. So I'm big into having my message redirect people where I want them to go. So
Yeah.
I want people to go back to find me on LinkedIn. So my messaging on Instagram, on Facebook, on TikTok, yes, it's educational, it's informative, it's value added.
Yeah.
But then people start to hear me talk about LinkedIn. So where do they start to go? They're going to pop onto LinkedIn, search my name, and then they can connect with me from there. So for me, I always advise this to people, be omnipresent, but think about where is the journey ending? So for you, even though you're using LinkedIn, the journey for you may be getting people back to your Instagram.
Right.
So it's okay to post things that you're talking about another platform to redirect them back over there. Because in all honesty, if someone's on LinkedIn, chances are they're also on Instagram, they're also on Facebook, and potentially on TikTok. So it's okay to cross-pollinate those things. So I would say that that's where the similarities there. Now, what I will say is the differences, I would say, could not be more different as far as the things that LinkedIn can do than other platforms. Now, you can build your networks on all these platforms, but what I love most about LinkedIn is that you curate the network that you want. Meaning when you're on LinkedIn, you decide who you want to connect with and who you want to accept. Meaning so I always tell people,
is this the same thing? Like connection? Is it an equivalent to a follower? Because when I go on, I'm like, okay, I have followers and I have connections. What's the algorithm, not the algorithm, what's the metric that I really want to follow here?
So actually both. So when you turn creator mode on, which you have done, when you turn creator mode on,
Like, have I?
you have. So if you have a follower count on the top of your LinkedIn profile, that means you've turned your creator mode tool on, which gives you access to LinkedIn Live, LinkedIn newsletters, LinkedIn audio events, and the follow feature. So now your network has the option to either follow you, which is great because you want to build that following, or to connect with you. So again, there is inbound connections and outbound connections. So the inbound connections or followers are people that see your content in their feed based on similar interests, business interests, and business visibility. So that's where you start to get the right people following you. You'll
Okay.
also get invitations from other people looking to connect with you. Now, I'll tell you this. Anyone that sends you a connection request that adds a note that has some sort of drunkalog spammy message to it, just ignore it. Like, I do not have time for that. But if it's just a blanketed just connection request, I always tell people before you accept any connection request, it has to fall into two connection buckets: potential ideal client or business ally, meaning someone you can collaborate with, you can
Mm,
connect with, you can pass business back and forth. Now, where the curation of your network comes into play is that the search engine of LinkedIn allows you to type in whatever keywords you like from a business standpoint, professional standpoint, or industry perspective. So, Jess, if you knew that a lot of the people that you work with, just as an example, are real estate professionals, wellness coaches, etc.,
mhm.
you can literally type that in to the search engine, filter the search result by second connections, which are the free people you can connect with. And you can literally go down the list of the search result. And if someone works with mostly, female entrepreneurs or female business owners, you can clearly see if they're male or female. You
Right.
just click connect. So now you're inviting the right types of people into your network that would benefit most from the services that you provide, and B, would resonate with the messaging of the content that you're putting out there. So that's when you start to see more engagement, because now the content that you're curating is for the right people that you're inviting into your network. So I always tell people, be extremely clear. Do not send a connection or accept a connection from anyone that doesn't fit into one of those two buckets: ideal potential client or business ally. So that's the first thing that I love about it, is
Yeah.
you create it, you curate it yourself. Because you can't really, I mean, yes, you can control the friends that you
Sure.
accept, but with Instagram, it's kind of like the Wild West. Yes, you can
Mhm.
attract people to it, but it's just follow, 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 follow. This is actually you going in and really curating and creating that ideal network. Now, the second thing I would say,
Well, one thing on that, is that
yeah.
something where when you're coaching people, you say, spend 10 minutes a day making connections? Is that like a strategy?
Yeah, I mean, you're not going to have to spend 10 minutes a day. Like, literally, I would say the process of using the search engine with the proper keywords that will reveal a search result of the two types of connections takes maybe 3.5 minutes. So
Okay.
I'm all about speed, but also consistency to create that compound effect. I don't want people spending too much time on social media.
Yeah.
I want them being on there for the amount of time that they have to, and then working on their business, not in their business. So a
Yeah.
lot of the things is just, rinse, wash, and repeat. So all told, everything that I do on LinkedIn takes about 20 minutes a day. And
Wow.
then it's basically just going back and just tweaking things, or just responding to people's messages, or engaging with them that way.
Can I go
I would
sidebar and ask another question?
Please.
Because if you're spending about 20 minutes a day, I get the feeling that you're not spending a ton of time, quote unquote, engaging, where we might on on other platforms like Instagram. So how social is LinkedIn? For example, at the end of every post, do you need to have a call to action where people are commenting in the comments? And
Mm.
are we going in and liking other people's stuff? And is video king over there? Is it just
Yes.
written text? Like what is the trend, and how social is it versus how outbound is
How
it?
much time do we have today? No, I'm kidding.
You can come back.
So I'll say this. So the strategy that I always tell people is LinkedIn is a back scratching platform, right? So if you want people to scratch your back, you got to scratch theirs.
Got it.
So what I always suggest people to do is, as you're going through your daily routine, you're sending whatever connections you want, you're messaging a few people, you've produced a piece of content, go through your LinkedIn feed and choose two people that have produced a relevant piece of content, not just any piece of content, something that really resonates with you. It's either a message, it's a topic, it's an area of business that you really like, are like, yeah, that's speaking to me. Don't just like engage and just give it like an emoji thumbs up in the comments. What I love about LinkedIn is that there's two different types of comments that LinkedIn kind of filters by. Most recent, much like every other platform, but also relevant. Now, This is interesting. What quantifies a relevant comment on a LinkedIn post is something that is value added in addition to the person's original thoughts, but other people start engaging with your comment based on the added value to the original post.
Right.
So my advice is pick 2 people a day and really showcase your expertise and added value with that person's original post in the comments. Number one, that's going to kind of boost you to the top of the comment feed. But the other thing that it's going to do, it's going to give you exposure through that person's entire network because you're the first comment that they're
So
going
smart.
to see.
So smart.
So again, just don't put great post. I like that. Or, just really like say, I love what you wrote. Yeah, I totally agree. And here is why. And give some, thought, add value, just kind of just pour some love into that person. As far as the type of content that I would say is king or the top of the food chain of LinkedIn is video.
Really?
And here's why. So you're looking to build a know, like, and trust. So, for anyone that is struggling in sales or building relationships, it's not that you're necessarily doing anything wrong. You maybe just haven't taken enough time to build the know, like, and trust. Any course that we've ever invested in, any mastermind that we've ever invested in, any coach that we've ever hired, any product that we've ever bought, it really hasn't been on a whim. It's because we know the brand or we know the person, we like them and we trust them.
Yeah.
And your video content, whether it's short form, just like I kind of spoke about before with Opus.pro, where it's those little mini viral clips, 30, 60, 90 seconds, or even a 2 to 4 minute, pre-recorded educational video, or even a 10 to 15 minute live like I do. It builds that know, like, and trust quicker because people can see you, feel you, and hear you.
Yeah.
And that's why, and I would say, of all the types of content that people can produce, the scariest for people to produce is video.
Why do you think that is?
Well, we're self-judgmental.
Yeah.
What if I look bad? What if I sound weird? What if what I say doesn't make any sense? What if I mess up? What if I say and ah? Well, that just means you're a human being. So you're actually
Right.
doing your job as a human. So,
Yeah.
but it doesn't matter what other people think. Taking that vulnerable step and really putting yourself out there is going to bridge that gap. It's going to lower the wall of resistance and it's going to raise the level of connection, and your video content will do that. So there's thoughts around when you should be posting on LinkedIn. I usually suggest one of 2 different content posting strategies: Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. I call this the bookends because you have a piece of content on Monday, you got a piece of content on Friday, and then you got something in the middle of the sandwich. Or you have something called the stacked posting strategy, which is Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Some people do not post on Mondays and Fridays. Monday, they negate because people are kind of getting back into the flow of things from the weekend. And once Friday hits, people aren't thinking about work. They're thinking about the weekend. So they kind of take advantage of the stacked Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday schedule. And I would say if you're going to post any content, and if I had to recommend to your audience or anyone listening to this, if they were to produce 3 pieces of content every single week, ongoing, moving forward, one would be a video, one would be a poll, and one would be a newsletter edition. And I'll explain why. Just like I forementioned, video is what's going to really bridge that gap between someone that doesn't know you to someone that is going to get to know you because you can talk directly to them. It's a very intimate experience. I am huge on market research. I like knowing exactly what people's pain points are. And I think this goes back to what I learned when I was 19 years old, starting in the fitness industry, because I learned being a solution-oriented person, being a person of value. I'm not going to just post content and hope that it lands on the right people.
Right.
I'm going to use the LinkedIn poll option, which you can do on Instagram, you can do on Facebook, and you can do it on LinkedIn. You can create a poll, and you want to ask a question that is directed towards someone's business pain. Because
Question for you.
yes.
So I'm a huge advocate. First of all, I love the fact that here you are, this guy that's been in business for over a decade. you're still doing market research, right? Because we get so many clients that think, I did it that one time, I took that first business course and I never do it again after. And we both know that's like a huge downfall in business. We want to consistently be putting our finger on the pulse of our ideal client. So I love that you're doing it literally weekly. For me, when I'm teaching Instagram strategies and we're using Instagram stories, I love to train my audience, for lack of a better term, to click, right? I want to train them to engage. So 70, 80, even 90% of the time, those polls and those quizzes and those questions boxes, I'm actually putting really simple, easy mountain or beach, dog or cat, toilet paper over or under, because I just want people to get into the habit of engaging. And then I come in with like the deep thought of what's your pain point, right? Like, what are you challenged by right now? When you're doing this basically once a week, are you always coming in hot with really figuring out like their deepest, darkest pains? Yeah, you are. Okay.
Oh yeah. I mean, last week and it's almost like just an unconscious thing for me now because
Yeah.
I know my audience. So,
Well, you have trained them just by doing this.
and I'll add like going back to your call to action, a question from prior, this kind of ties right into the market research polls. So I'll ask, there was a new restriction that LinkedIn rolled out when at the time that we're recording this in January. They rolled it out in the beginning of the month. And if you use the free account on LinkedIn, you can only add, I think, 10 personalized notes per month. If you have the premium, you can add up to 20. So I simply just asked my audience, did you know about this latest restriction? Yes, no, other comment below. And, depending upon the topic, I'll get anywhere between 100 to 400 votes.
Wow.
And again, why it's so important to get that market research, because it allows you to take the temperature of your audience and what they're hot on, but more importantly, what they're cold on. Because now this is what I do, going back to that content strategy, whether Monday, Wednesday, Friday, or Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, I use that market research to further the content that I'm going to create. So as an example, if the majority of the people that voted in that poll said they didn't know about this latest restriction, guess what I'm going to do? I'm going to write,
Yeah.
I'm going to write a new newsletter edition on my LinkedIn newsletter about this latest restriction update to LinkedIn. So answering their questions. So I've done the market research, so they're already engaged. And again, I put a call to action in everything. So even just in the market research poll, one of the options is other comment below. So now I have people kind of sharing their own thoughts, their own ideas below. And, I'll get 20, 30 comments on some polls, which again, the more that people engage, the more they see your content. Now, sometimes they don't engage. That doesn't mean that they're not seeing it, but the majority of people on social media as a whole are called passive engagers, meaning they scroll, they look, they read, they may like it in their head, they may comment in their head, they may not just take that visible action. So just because you may not be getting a ton of engagement on any social media platform, don't think that it's not landing. It is. There's just more passive engagers than there are active engagers.
I
now,
love that.
with that example, this kind of ties into something that you asked before very early on about, are there features that really separate LinkedIn from others? And this ties directly into the LinkedIn newsletter feature. So back to something that I said to you, having creator mode turned on, there's creator mode tools. And those tools, the three big ones are LinkedIn newsletter, LinkedIn live, and LinkedIn audio events. Now, a LinkedIn newsletter is different than an article. So you can write an article on LinkedIn and it just goes out into the ethos of everyone on LinkedIn. So it gets spread too wide, which means there's not enough of a narrow audience to actually engage. When you create a LinkedIn newsletter, so just as an example, if you have 8,000 or 9,000 connections on LinkedIn, you go on, you click write an article, and it takes you into what is called the LinkedIn publishing article section. You'll see a little tab that says create a LinkedIn newsletter. You click on it, it takes you to another sub screen where you create your title. So mine is called LinkedIn Tips and Updates, so people know exactly what the newsletter is about. I have a short 100 word description of what the newsletter is. You can select daily, weekly, bi-weekly, or monthly for publishing options. I always suggest either bi-weekly or weekly. I like weekly. Every Fridays, my newsletter editions come out. And then you hit done. Now, when you go in to write your article, you're writing it to your newsletter. But here's the cool thing. The day that you create your LinkedIn newsletter, LinkedIn also sends an invitation to subscribe to your newsletter to every existing connection that you have.
Wow.
So when I created mine almost 2 years ago, within 2 days, I had 1,000 subscribers to my
Wow.
newsletter. Now I'm
Is this
approaching,
transferring over to email as
uh,
well?
so I'm going to get to that because
Okay.
this is it's epic what this feature can do. So I'm approaching 8,000 subscribers now on my LinkedIn
Wow.
newsletter. So the cool thing about that is this, going back to how you can curate your own network, every time you accept a connection that fits into one of those two connection buckets, or the outbound connections that you're sending, someone accepts, LinkedIn automatically sends them a notification to subscribe to your newsletter. So it's like LinkedIn helps you grow it
Yeah.
automatically. Now, every time you produce a LinkedIn addition to your newsletter, LinkedIn does two things. Number one, it sends them a push notification in their notification section that, Jester Rose has just released a new edition. Check it out here. So it's inviting people that are already on the platform to check it out and read it, engage with it. The other thing that LinkedIn does, LinkedIn personally emails every single subscriber of your newsletter to their email that they registered through LinkedIn to check out your latest newsletter edition. So it has basically in newsletter form, and then there's a little button that you can click to say, join the conversation. Now,
Wow.
here's the other thing. Within your newsletter on LinkedIn, you can embed clickable links. So if you want to drive traffic to your website, if you want to drive traffic to a free workshop, if you want to drive traffic to a wait list, all you have to do is embed a clickable link that not only is visible on LinkedIn within the LinkedIn platform when they're reading the newsletter, but in the email that LinkedIn sends out to every single subscriber. So
Wow.
now, not only are you increasing your organic engagement, but now you're collecting emails GDP regulation wise.
Right.
For people that don't know that, LinkedIn back in the day, you can actually download your contacts through a CSV file, and people were illegally importing them into their email distribution list, and then they started just emailing people. So you can't do that anymore. So you can download your contacts, but it does not have the email addresses attached. So you have to get creative of how to collect those emails. And this is a very simplistic way, because another strategy that I teach people, you could easily. So say every week you write a newsletter and it's something educational, it's something informative. You could easily go on a Canva and you can create a little checklist that you convert into a PDF
Right.
that you can then take that clickable link, and you can basically say, if you enjoyed this article, click here to download the checklist to make sure that you're following through with everything that I spoke about today. And
Boom.
you can
Opt in.
attach that
Yeah.
to your email distribution list. So now you're collecting every single email from people that are filling out that form. So, and again, that's how we've grown our email list. And that's why people are very, very engaged. And there's a ton of different features on LinkedIn, but I would say the LinkedIn newsletter is one of my favorite for just those few reasons.
That is amazing. I'm so excited. So I think Mike had signed me up for a LinkedIn account probably about a year ago. And I just made my first two posts this week as we record this
Awesome.
episode, but I haven't taken the time yet to fish around and learn the platform. And so this for me is super helpful. Selfishly, I'm like, this is a great episode. But I feel like a majority of our clients as well, a lot of our audience and listeners are very heavy on Instagram. Secondary would be TikTok or Facebook. So I know this is super helpful for everybody listening. Before we go any further, I mean, we're already approaching an hour, which is crazy. How do you teach people LinkedIn? Like, what services and offers do you have if someone wants to go deeper and just learn? I mean, I'm foaming at the mouth right now. So I'm like, what's next?
Yeah, so there's a couple different options. I don't do much one-on-one coaching anymore. I do some high-level consulting, but I only take on one client a quarter, just because it's a lot of my time.
Yeah.
I would say the more economical way to work with myself and our company, I have something called the LinkedIn Growth Hub, which is it's a $49 monthly membership. I do one masterclass a month that's private to the members on a different area around LinkedIn, whether it's the strategic mindset you need to have going into it, a feature that you need to take advantage of, a lead gen strategy, or just the platform in general. The other thing is I have a done for you course called the LinkedIn Accelerator Program that people can go through. It's basically A to Z what you need to do to get things set up. And then we actually have a high level mastermind called Expert Authority, where we teach everyone how to grow and scale their business. But the big social media focus of getting your expertise out there is leveraging LinkedIn, which is included in that. So there's something for everyone
Yeah.
at various different price points. So, whether someone's more, starting out and they don't really have the monetary funds to do any high level investing, obviously the LinkedIn Growth Hub or the accelerator program would be the way to go. If someone is looking to really like pedal to the metal, let's go, let's throw some gasoline on the fire, then obviously our mastermind program and hybrid coaching would be the best thing for that.
Yeah. Someone like myself who is good at social media, but not necessarily does not know the language of LinkedIn. Would you say the best place for me to start would be the DIY course to get it all set up and then join the membership, or just I can jump into the membership and kind of figure it out?
Yeah, the membership I would say is probably the foundation.
Yeah. Okay.
But I would say someone that like wants to like dive headfirst in and just do it the right way the first time, that would be the DIY course because I'm showing you how to set up your profile, putting in all the keywords, the searching, the messaging, the connecting. The $49 membership is more of like overviews of what people can do, and that kind of leads them into the $1,000 program. But then that also leads them to doing more with us in our group coaching program.
Yeah.
So someone that's like just wants to figure out LinkedIn and they just want to dive into it and they just want to learn it and learn it only, the DIY course would be the best thing.
Okay, cool. Um, we don't have time to even get into all this, but something that you and I have very similarly is that we work with our spouses. So I'd love to just talk for a second about both the challenges and the gifts of being able to work with Nancy, right? Because for us at least, there was a transitional period when we started working together where a lot of people tell you, for us it was, make sure you take date night and you have to separate the business and the home. And we've come to a place where we've figured it out for what works for us, and we've shared it on the podcast many times. But I'm so curious to hear from another person who has a powerhouse woman in his house. How is it working together? What are some of the tips and tricks that have been able to help you guys navigate having like a healthy business and a healthy actual like marriage?
So I would say, well, number one, uh, we would not be where we are without each other.
Yeah.
So I can't do what I do. She can't. And I literally said this to her this morning at breakfast. I said, if you didn't say yes to that third date, I said, my life would be completely different. And she agreed because I know what my strengths are and I know what my weaknesses are. And I think that's the first key thing. So we don't overlap. She's brilliant at certain things. I'm brilliant at other things, and we make sure that we focus on those things. So we really kind of set those business boundaries. We have a very strict work-life integration.
Yeah.
We work Mondays, Tuesdays, and Thursdays. We take off Wednesday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. That is our schedule. And the reason why we did that is we want to live more and work less, but still impact people in a positive way. And we do weekly date nights. We're into video games, so it's more because of our 11-year-old, but
Sure.
yeah, I mean, we do play by ourselves, just the two of us. So we like to game, and that's actually we look for not just distractions, but we look for outlets.
Yeah.
So I'm a big sports guy, so is she. So we watch all the Sixers games and whatever sport is going on. We like video games, but we also love spending time with other people. So we make sure that there is time for us to talk about business. And when the business day is over, and we usually cut off by 4 o'clock in the afternoon, if there's a couple things that we need to discuss, we talk about it. We usually save those discussions for morning at breakfast when we're having, our coffee and everything. But we know the way that our entrepreneurial minds work. If we start talking about business stuff too late at night, it kind of reinvigorates the adrenaline
Hmm.
and the endorphins, and then we will have a difficult time sleeping because
Yeah.
our mind starts to go. So we really we check each other because I'll say, hey, I want to tell you something, and she'll say to me, if it's something about business, save it till the morning.
Yep.
And we really check ourselves that way. But I would say overall, the number one key that has allowed us to have such an incredible marriage in life and in business is communication.
Yeah.
We talk about everything. And I'm very outspoken, so I always speak my truth. And for her, my wife, that is, like, this is something that she's had to learn to do because she used to internalize everything. So, if she was sitting next to me right now, I would ask her, what do I always tell you? And she'll say, speak your truth. So, I can always tell when she has something going on, and I'm like, do you need to speak your truth right now? Do you need to get something out? Because you don't want things to kind of spill over,
Yeah.
because it could lead to other stuff. But I think being open, being communicative, but also, to your point, drawing that line between life and business is really, really important to us. But having that work-life integration has allowed us to grow and scale each and every year, over the last 4 years together.
Yeah. It's just incredible. I mean, eh, for us, it's not hard, but it does take intentional work, whether it's having those conversations or speaking your truth, or, just letting somebody know, hey, I really don't feel like talking about business right now. And then the hardest part is honoring that as the other person, right? You're like, but I want to talk about it. And it's like, well,
Because you love what you do. You want, like,
totally
her and I could rap about business all day
all
long.
day.
We're just idea machines.
Yeah.
But, like when we go out to dinner, so I'll give you one last thing. So we take conversation cards wherever we go.
Oh, I love that. Do
So,
you
I
have a
mean,
specific brand that you use?
um, I'll get it to you. She like, literally, if you go into our utility closet, we literally have a whole shelf that is all conversation cards. We
That's
have
so
them for
cool.
kids too. So, like, when we're out to dinner with Taylor, we'll ask him questions. So I love trivia too. So sometimes we'll do trivia questions like Trivial Pursuit.
Mhm.
But the majority is that we like to get deeper with each other. So we'll bring conversation cards because we always end up learning something new from each other, about each other. But I can't tell you how many times people, like, around us are like looking at, like, what are they doing? Because, like, we'll sit down, she'll pull out like the box of conversation cards, she'll hand me a stack, she'll have her stack, and we'll just go back and forth.
Yeah.
But it's such a catalyst to other things. So sometimes we'll only get through 2 or 3 questions from the conversation cards because it spurs into so much else. So we end up deepening the connection, the relationship that we have, and it's just a lot of fun.
That's awesome. What a great tip. Oh man, I'm gonna go order some on Amazon right now. That's such a
Yeah.
great tip. You probably do look like, first date. Look at them over there getting to know each other.
And it's been almost 7 years. So it's
That's
like,
amazing.
yeah.
That's so cool. Cool. Well, obviously people can find you on LinkedIn. Where else can they find you if they want to hear more, learn about the stuff that you told us about before? What do you got going on coming up?
Yeah, thetimetogrowcom is our joint website for myself and Nancy. We do have a workshop coming up at the end of April. It's called the Get Your Business Organized in 5 Days workshop. So this allows people to not only get your business organized, but it helps people really get their business and their brand organized, and to make sure that you're doing all the necessary things. It's 5 days. And it's just a lot of fun to teach people just the simplistic things of what they need to do.
Yeah.
So again, you'll have a link for people to register. It's completely free. And then, my website, scottaaron.net, is everything about everything that I'm doing, my podcast, her podcast, the courses that we mentioned in the episode prior. And again, you can Google me. You find me I'm on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, I'm YouTube, all those things. And just,
Yeah.
I
Thanks
love
to
connecting.
Opus.pro.
Yeah, Opus.pro. Yeah, I mean, literally, I can't wait for you guys to dive into that. It's so much fun. It just, like, because again, you get like 10 or 15 pieces of content that you're never going to have to, like, make another reel because you got 15 that you can
Yeah.
push out whenever you want. But above all else, I love connecting with people. So don't be afraid. I'm not into selling and pitching. Like, I really love building relationships with people. And if I could ever be of any help or service to anyone listening to this, just reach out. I'm an earshot away.
Incredible. You down for some rapid fire real quick?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay. If you were to give a TED talk on nothing that you're known for, what would it be?
Nothing that I'm known for?
Yeah. So it can't be
Oh,
LinkedIn.
nothing that I'm known for.
Hmm.
Wow, that is a really good question. Um, oh, geez. Um, Maybe how to run a car wash.
Cool. I'm into it. Favorite
Yeah.
movie?
Favorite movie?
Hmm.
That's a big one. You know, I have a lot of favorite movies, but I would say the reason why this is one of my favorite movies is not just because of the movie itself. I also feel like an accompanying soundtrack also makes the movie.
Ooh.
Forrest Gump.
Yes, that's one of mine for that exact reason. I just scared
Forrest
the
Gump.
dog. Sorry. That's in Mike and I both. That's in our top 5 for
That
sure.
helped. I mean, you have no clue because like that, when that came out, I think it was 1993.
Yeah.
I was I was in 8th grade, and a lot of those bands I hadn't heard of, CCR and listening to the Mamas and the Papas and all that stuff. Like it really gave you a great education
Yeah.
in classic rock, which I still love today.
That's awesome. $50,000 question. If I were to cut you a check for 50,000 tomorrow that you had to use in or on any one of your businesses, and you can cut it up or use it in one lump sum, how would you invest it?
I would say I would use some for some paid advertising or marketing
Cool.
to get new people into our email distribution list. Potentially hiring a new team member, maybe we have a copywriter, but maybe someone else, maybe to help us with content editing or something of that nature. And then I would definitely say a piece of it would definitely get, we're very philanthropic, so we would definitely give some of it away. We have a wonderful nonprofit that we've partnered with called Brushes with Cancer. It's they were big supporters of my father when he was going through his cancer treatments. And we actually donate a portion of, and anyone that invests in our high level mastermind, we donate a piece of their investment to this amazing nonprofit called Brushes with Cancer. So I would definitely have a piece of that $50,000 going towards some sort of philanthropic activity.
Incredible. Just another one of the reasons why I love and respect you so much. Really,
The feeling
truly.
is so mutual.
Yeah. Yeah. Such a similar value on that. Scott, Aaron, thank you so much for being here. I'm so grateful for you. There's so many more things I want to ask you. There's so much more I want to dive into. But I know this isn't the end for us. Maybe we'll have you back on. Friends, if you love this episode, if you gained anything from it, which I cannot imagine that you didn't learn anything, please take a screenshot, share it out on social. For me, it would be Instagram. Scott would probably say LinkedIn. Either way, make sure you tag Scott at Scott Aaron LinkedIn. That would be on Instagram. Scott Aaron Coach is over on LinkedIn. Let us know what your biggest takeaways were. Tell me as well at I am Jessica DeRose. And if at the very least, I can send you a message and just say thank you so much for listening to the show. As always, friends, cheers to evolution. Thank you so much for tuning in. If you loved this episode, I invite you to be a part of our ripple effect and share it with a friend. And please, if you feel called, take 30 seconds to leave a 5-star review, and I'll be forever grateful. Until next time, cheers to your evolution.